Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. RHONJ Luis Ruelas Infidelity exposed on House of Villains. RHONJ star Teresa Giudice's marriage to Luis Ruelas is once again in the spotlight. One of her House of Villains co-stars made the shocking allegation that Teresa's husband of only 2 years has already cheated on her. Season 15 of The Real Housewives of New Jersey is up in the air after a disastrous Season 14. Amid her job being in jeopardy, Teresa Giudice left home to film Season 2 of the E! Network's House of Villains. Season 1 featured love-to-hate reality TV stars like Vanderpump Rules' Jax Taylor, Celebrity Apprentice alum, and former White House aide, Omarosa Manigault-Newman, and reality show vet Tiffany New York Pollard. Tiffany Pollard returns for Season 2. And this time, she's up against 90-Day Fiance's Larissa Lima, Survivor OG Richard Hatch, and more reality villains. The super tease ahead of the October season premiere reveal the showdown between New York and RHONJ star Teresa Giudice. Viewers will finally saw the full version of the explosive fight on a recent episode. Things haven't been going well between Teresa Giudice and Tiffany Pollard so far on House of Villains. Teresa was put on the hit list in a recent episode because Pollard wanted their shared room to herself. Bachelor Nation's Victoria Larson stirred up more drama between the two by telling Pollard that the RHONJ star was going to put her on the hit list next and hoped she would be eliminated. In a tense confrontation, Tiffany Pollard made a shocking accusation about Teresa Giudice's husband, Luis Ruelas. He sent his wife a huge bouquet with hundreds of flowers a few days before the argument. You know why Luis really sent those roses. Because he's guilty, bitch. He's been f***ing around, and each one of those roses represent how many times he cheated on your asterisk since you've been in here. Tiffany Pollard screamed at Teresa Giudice. The RHONJ shot back by calling the flavor of love alum disgusting. A source close to Teresa Giudice explained the true meaning of the flowers to People magazine. Louis actually sent Teresa 333 roses, which is symbolic for her because she correlates those numbers to her late mother. Louis knew that amount of roses would move her, and it did, and he wanted to comfort her because she was away and was homesick. Tiffany New York Pollard reportedly apologized to Luis Ruelas for the accusation. But do you think there's some truth to it? The tension was so thick, you could cut it with a knife. On House of Villains, it wasn't just about who's the biggest reality TV villain, but who could withstand the explosive secrets each villain brought into the mix. And Luis Ruelas, married to Real Housewives of New Jersey's Teresa Giudice, wasn't just playing a game. He was teetering on the edge of a scandal that would shock Housewives fans everywhere. When the cast had gathered at the House of Villains mansion, Luis was his usual smooth-talking self, with Teresa proudly singing his praises on the sidelines, convinced that no one could ruffle his feathers. But there was something unsettling in the way some of the other villains eyed him. It wasn't admiration or fear. It was the kind of knowing smirk that only someone with dirt on another person could hold back. All it took was one drink too many at a late-night mixer in the mansion for that smirk to become something more. Omarosa, forever the queen of spilling tea, made her way over to Luis, pulling him aside with a mischievous glint in her eye. "You know, Luis, everyone has skeletons in their closet," she whispered with a devilish grin. "Some are better hidden than others. Careful that yours don't get out of control." Luis raised an eyebrow, trying to brush it off, but her words cut through his bravado like a blade. He looked at Omarosa and forced a laugh, trying to deflect. "I think you've mistaken me for someone else. My closet's pretty squeaky clean." But Omarosa wasn't buying it. "Oh, honey," she purred, Leaning closer, nothing stays hidden forever in this house. Even Teresa might find that out sooner than later. Meanwhile, Teresa, unaware of the storm brewing just rooms away, was bonding with other castmates, relishing her time on the show and Louis's bold stance against the villains. She was confident Louis would be her strong ally through it all. But whispers started circulating, and the atmosphere was thick with something more sinister than competition. That evening, the production arranged a confessional where each cast member could share their villainous thoughts about the others, egged on by producers who loved stirring the pot. It was Bobby Lights, however, who truly set the bomb ticking. "So Louis," Bobby began with a smirk during his confessional, "looks like he's got some secrets." Word around the mansion is that he hasn't been as loyal as Mrs. Judas would like to think. And a villain can always spot another villain's secrets. Bobby's comment threw fuel on an already smoldering fire. Teresa was quick to hear the gossip, her face hardening as more snippets reached her. Her initial reaction was pure disbelief. "People have always been jealous of what I have with Louis," she muttered to the camera. "There's no way he'd do that to me." But then came the bombshell. A blurry screenshot, making rounds among the cast, showing a photo of Louis seemingly cozying up with another woman at a restaurant. Teresa's heart sank. The woman in the photo, though partially hidden, had been someone who'd haunted her marriage in rumors, even before their reality fame intensified. She wasn't just any woman, she was someone from Louis's past. Confronted with the photo, Louis tried to laugh it off, telling Teresa it was an old friend, nothing more. "It was a business meeting, babe, I swear," he pleaded. But Teresa wasn't easily convinced. After everything she had been through with her ex, Joe, she was too experienced to simply brush it off. Hurt flashed across her face as she questioned, "Are you lying to me, Louis?" The cast watched the argument unfold with rapt attention. Omarosa, as sharp as ever, saw her opening. "Teresa, honey, this is House of Villains. Everyone here has a reason they're considered a villain. Maybe it's time to ask what makes Louis one." Teresa's face darkened as she turned to Louis, eyes blazing. "Did you lie to me about what happened that night? Is she just a friend, or is there something more?" Louis stammered, trying to regain his composure, but he was unraveling. The cool, composed businessman who'd stood by her side through family drama and fights with the other housewives was now on the defense, and he was losing. The rest of the cast savored the drama, but for Teresa, it was personal. In a last-ditch effort, Louis snapped, "You really think I'd throw everything away, Teresa? For someone else? I love you." But his words fell flat, lacking the conviction they once held. Teresa, who had longed for a love story to redeem her difficult past, looked away, her heart breaking. She retreated to her room, and as she closed the door, she could hear whispers outside, words of sympathy and mockery mingling together. She took a deep breath, gripping her locket, a symbol of her love for Louis. But in that moment, it felt heavy, almost like a weight around her neck. Louis, left in the aftermath of the confrontation, knew his time in the house was on shaky ground. He had come to prove his resilience among villains, but the very foundation of his reputation had been exposed for everyone to see. He was no longer just Teresa's strong, unshakable husband. He was now a man under scrutiny, his loyalty questioned not just by Teresa, but by the viewing public as well. Omarosa, ever the instigator, saw Teresa later in the hallway and pulled her aside. "Teresa, a strong woman like you doesn't deserve to be anyone's second choice," she whispered. "Think about that." Days passed, and the tension in the house was almost unbearable. Teresa, caught between love and doubt, vacillated in her emotions. She wanted to believe Louis, but knew she couldn't ignore the signs forever. During one of the show's notorious elimination ceremonies, the cast gathered, waiting to see if Luis would be sent packing. Teresa held her breath as the host toyed with the cast, but ultimately, Luis was safe for another week. As the cast dispersed, he approached Teresa, pulling her aside. "We're leaving this house together, babe. No one's going to get between us," he insisted, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of worry. As the season continued, Luis fought to maintain his image, trying to convince both Teresa and the viewers of his innocence. Yet every week, the whispers followed him, gnawing at the trust Teresa had once placed so readily in him. She began to question not just the infidelity rumors, but whether she had ever truly known Luis at all. In the final moments of the show, Teresa stood at the crossroads of her own love story. She could walk away, reclaiming her independence and strength, or stay by Luis's side, risking yet another heartbreak. The decision was one only she could make, but one thing was certain. In the House of Villains, even the most steadfast loyalty could be shattered.